All right, everyone. Thank you guys for attending our Futuro Digital Conference. This is our last panel. How have you guys been enjoying this conference? You guys enjoyed it? It's a good time? Perfect, perfect, perfect. So super excited. Right now, we will be handling and having a good conversation for this music panel. And we got some superstars, and we're going to learn a lot. We're going to be able to maximize our conversations. And anybody that's a musician, an artist, definitely check in. All right. So let's go ahead and bring out our panelists. We're going to have Stephanie Diaz Matos. Give a round of applause. Perfect. Wherever you want to go, it's wherever you want. Perfect. We have Dion Baez. Give him a round of applause. And we have Nico Maclet. I know I did it right. Perfect, perfect. All right. And I guess for everyone that don't know me, I'm Eric K. Thomas, and I am the editor-in-chief of the Quintessential Gentleman. I guess I could have introduced myself first, but it's all right. We're going to figure it out. My round of applause too. Hey, guys. Yeah. All right. So we are following the comedy panel. So we're going to start with a number. We're going to sing, and you guys just rate us, share. I'm just playing with y'all. All right, guys. So we are here right now, really just trying to talk about turning these 60 seconds into stardom. And before we get started, I want to have each of the panelists to tell us, their role, company, and what they do. So let's go ahead and start with Stephanie.
Hi.
Is it up? You good? Oh.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I am the head of music supervision and library at Radio. Radio is Issa Rae's music company. We are a record label, a publishing company, a podcasting company, and I'm responsible for music supervision.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. My mic's on. I'm Dion Baez, Global Artist Marketing Manager at YouTube Music. My job entails connecting artists with users at scale and helping users find new music experiences on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Nico Maclet, and I work at Vivo doing digital marketing. So that means marketing our classic premiere music videos from A-list stars, as well as our original content like Control, studio performances, and Footnotes, which are like behind the scenes series.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to start with the first question. I can sing. I have 1 million followers, engagement, likes, all of that. I can be a superstar, yes or no? Because my reason for asking that is because everyone thinks that just because you're there and you have these things, you can do it. Is that right? She's like, let me hear you.
I mean, I think there's different measures of success, and I think there's obviously success in your own mind, and then there's success of your peers, and then there's larger, wider audience success. I think we're probably here to talk specifically about, I believe that I am successful and I need to monetize it, or I want this to be my career, and how do I do that? For what I do, if you have 1 million followers, and you're off to a great start. I think that having a successful sync placement in a television show or a movie can be a great check. It can be a great look. It can be a great part of a story, but ultimately I think it's just part of a story, and it can't be your whole story. To get in my purview, so that I know of you specifically as opposed to the other however many people who have a similar level following, I'm someone who follows a lot of playlists, and I think playlisting is actually a really important focus, and getting on as many playlists as possible is a good way to get attention from other people like me.
That's actually really good, and I never heard that. So playlisting, and I think when people do playlists, like, oh, this person put it on their Apple. I might like their music, I might not. But to be able to be on DJ's playlist and things like that, that's important for your side, right? Wow, wow. And then on you guys, I'll start with you, Dion. What do you look for when you're looking for talent and people that you think would be successful?
Going back to the million, I think you said it best, which was, it depends. If you're a comedian and you're trying to break into music, maybe people might respond to your music and say, "Yeah, I'll buy into your music." Maybe they won't. But having a million anything, use followers, use like whatever, is a really good thing. So the one thing I'll say is, even to preface this whole conversation, is we're probably the most exciting time for music, where you needed studio times, you needed, not radio, the company, but radio itself, radio promotion, a lot of money in order to be a star and break. That is still true in many ways, but it's also not true in many ways. And so you can have 1 million followers, and people may know you, but they may not know your music. Like, how many people know the "My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle" song? Who sang it? You don't know his name. You know it's some guy, it's a professor, it's a skit, it's funny, it's a good song, it's trending. We don't actually know who that is. And so that's a very unique thing. So can he brand himself and become a star? Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is, when I'm looking for someone, whether they could be a star, I also invest in companies. I'm an investor in something called Beat Bread, which advances money to independent artists. One thing I look for is the music good? Is it connect? And by good doesn't mean that I have to like it. It just means, is there an audience for it, and is it sticky? And there's a lot of metrics you could look at to identify what is sticky and what isn't sticky. Save rates, are people playing it over and over again? Does it get algorithmic playlisting? Does it get editorial playlisting? So the first thing I look at as a marketer is always, is the product good? Does it connect with people? And then from there, we'll start layering on other things and considerations.
I have a question.
Sure. Yes.
Do you actually get reports where you're looking behind the curtain and you're seeing how things are trending and like all of the digital stuff?
Well, just going into the Google, what do I look at?
Let's
Data?
go into it right now. Let's get it.
Because in what I do, it's so like kind of like, it's not tech at all. And you guys are both in the tech space. So I'm just like wondering if that's information that's available to you.
Yes and no. We don't look at every Google, so not NDAs, right? So yeah, we do obviously know what's trending. The algorithm does pick up what is trending, and we'll talk about like how to actually influence algorithms, or what metrics influence algorithms. So yeah, you can actually look at what is trending. Do I personally always look at it? I usually just ask artists sometimes, like, what are your numbers like? So yes and no.
So yeah, go ahead, Nico. I want to know what you look for.
I mean, I would say it's a mix of analytics. It's a mix of like a few different things, like how's the audience responding to you, and also like what's the plan? Like, what is the plan beyond like this one viral song or this one viral video? I think it's people trend all the time. Like, people are gonna trend today, people are gonna trend tomorrow. In a week, are we gonna think about them? I'm not so sure. And so at Vivo, we have this program called Discover, which is every week we highlight a new up-and-coming artist. It can be from like anywhere in the world and across any genre. And we highlight typically people who don't even have like an EP or album out. They maybe just have a few songs. I think like Flow is like a good example of someone we just highlighted on our Discover series. They have that hit song Cardboard Box. It's a three-person girl group out of the UK. They of course have a trending song, but they also have like a plan for what they want to do in the future. They have upcoming shows, they have an album, they have other things going on, whereas of course like they have great social reaction, and that song went viral on Twitter and I've listened to it like 1,000 times. But beyond that, like they have a plan, which I think is so important, especially when you're an artist, whether you have like big label support or independent or wherever you have, to like really figure out where you are in the music landscape and figure out like what you can provide. It's so important.
So for the people who don't have 1 million followers, like me, who's a singer, but you see, I'm trying to get a record deal, guys. I can't sing. I'm just playing, please. But for people who are, just starting out, talented and want to, groove and make their way up the ladder to become successful, we want to speak about social media. What does their social media look like to you? And what I mean by that is, how are they marketing themselves? Do you look at that, their approach? Do they have to, post every day? Do they have to show live? Do they have to have studio? Like, do all of those pieces come into when it comes to actually marketing themselves with their social media? And I guess I'll go back to you, Nika.
Oh yeah, sure. I think it's a mix. I mean, what are you posting? If you're posting 5 videos a week, like what are they? Are they like you're singing? Are you cooking? Or like skateboarding? Like what are you doing? I mean, we have to make sure that like whatever your social presence is, it's authentic to like the goals that you want to have. Like if you want to be a singer and maybe you're posting like 5 TikToks. TikTok is obviously such a huge digital platform right now. If you're trying to post 5 videos a week on TikTok, make sure at least like 3 or 4 of them are your singing videos. Then maybe you do another one where it's like skateboarding or cooking, whatever your real hobby is. Because I think what's really important, especially when looking at social media, is authenticity. I feel like I see so much where up-and-coming artists will hop on a social media trend or hop on something that doesn't feel authentic to them or their brand or doesn't really connect with their communities. I feel like being yourself is probably the most important thing to do when you're becoming an artist, because at the end of the day, brands and everything and so many other artists can support you, but unless you know who you are and know what you can provide and bring to the table, there's no place to really start.
I 100% agree with what you said.
Thank you.
It was the best answer. It really does depend. I mean, there's a big debate now. Should Florence and the Machine be doing TikTok dances? That's kind of crazy, right? Like, do I want to see like Dokisha like doing cooking? I don't know. That probably not. But I would say it really depends on your brand and what it is that you want to highlight and showcase. And for some artists, it may not be doing those kinds of things. But the one thing I will add is it's very difficult to cut through the noise these days. You do have free platforms. So consistency actually more so than even just posting things that are on. If you're doing something inauthentic, you probably won't do it for a long time. But if you're doing something that you constantly do, it is who you are as an artist, whether it's the making of the song, the recording of a song, or cooking or dancing. If that's who you really are, you're probably gonna do it more often. And consistency is rewarded by the platforms. That's what we know about TikTok, right? You can do 100 videos and maybe one, for whatever reason, that'll be the one that really kind of pops off for you. So I would say consistency is really key, but be true to the actual brand and story. And find your tribe. Find the people that you actually connect with. It may not be 1 million people. So for you as an artist, 200 people, Seth Godin is a marketer, 200 people starts a tribe. And if you can have 200 diehard fans, like real fans that buy your stuff, tell people about you, then you're actually may do better than someone that has 500,000 followers and is trying to make music. Those 200 fans are actually be a lot more powerful for you.
Stephanie?
You guys, that was beautiful and eloquent. And I don't have much more to add other than like a super basic thing that I need out of an artist's social media, which is up-to-date contact information and messages that are checked regularly. In what I do, I have tight turnarounds and I'll reach out to an independent artist and through Instagram or through Twitter, and like, you might lose a placement if you're not checking. So that for me, in addition to everything you guys just said, particularly about the building your tribe, because I notice it's something that I do is I'm like, well, who's following them and do we have people in common? And then that's how I, find people. And if to stand out, a video that is super creative or, has a different point of view is always helpful. But for me, it's like the main, it's so basic, but you would be surprised at how often it's like someone gets back to me a month later and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's gone.
Right. So everybody, please make sure you are updating your bios, checking your DMs and the DMs that are not visible. Because if no one's following you or that person's not following you, you're not gonna be able to see their DM. So you got to check it. So I want to talk a little bit about success and what people's potential could be given an opportunity. So let's say Stephanie finds someone and let's say they are now, you think their music is good. How far can you take that? What does that look like? Meaning it could be in a TV show?
Yeah, I mean, my process is super democratic. Like I'm just looking for the best music for that moment, and each show has its requirements. So for P Valley, for example, Katori wants everything from Mississippi, Memphis, Southern, female. And so I deep dive into that world and send out messages and try and find people. But to your point earlier, like, what's the plan? When I was working on a Netflix film called Someone Great, we placed Lizzo's Truth Hurts, which was off of her first record, not her second. And I will say, now this is obviously a major label, but I give a lot of credit to Atlantic for pivoting quickly. When that placement happened, they added Truth Hurts and made like a deluxe, and they did it super fast. And I think that created momentum in a way that, you know, they moved quick and they were ready to think outside the box, and they didn't just look at it as like, oh, that's an old song.
It's about
You
2
know?
years old, that song, right before it actually blew up. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
another thing. Music is different now. The timing of new songs and old songs and catalog is very, very different because of social media. That's a great example.
I want you to continue with that because I know we kind of talk about TikTok and you talk about, so my biggest thing is, you know, I'll hear TikTok and I'll know the 15 seconds.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what the rest of the song is.
Yeah.
I wonder how important, or I guess not important, that is for artists who do have those songs that are trending. Does that move the needle for them when they have that 15 seconds?
I think a plan is a good one. I think it depends on the artist, what the song is and does. Is it like a comedic song that isn't really like have substance, or is it a song that actually reaches someone? For instance, I'll give you an example. There was an artist by the name of Moonlight Scorpio who I found very early on. Do you know her?
No.
Okay.
And I'm about to look her up after this.
Yeah. She had this song called Pretty Girl Magic that trended on IG Reels, and another song called Money Mantra on TikTok. I actually invested personally in these songs. And she had about 50,000 Reels and TikToks made for each song independently. She's a girl from Mississippi, 21 years old, single mother, dropped this music, and, you know, it's done, I don't know, 10 million streams now so far. The big important thing was we found her tribe. We found that it was people who are into tarot cards, holistic readings, yoga, uplifting music, spiritual music, which is a very big thing. She is unsigned, doesn't need to necessarily sign a deal right now, even though she's been approached by Atlantic and the like, and is earning a living in the middle of Mississippi. And, you know, she hasn't even ventured really out to the East Coast or to the West Coast for that much. So I think success is relative. I think you mentioned that earlier. Success is really relative. She was lucky enough to make music that had substance for a given audience, and she was a part of that audience, and she stays with that audience. And so even though we may make music that obviously appeals to a larger audience, she's always cognizant of who her core is, and we make music for that core. And so I think she's successful. She's a working paid musician in Mississippi, and her song's being played all over the world. So I think that's
Success to me.
Yeah.
Nico, you want to add?
I'm just gonna say I love that story because I think it's so important. Like, this is an artist who found their niche and found something that they really connect with, and a community that connects with that, and it's very authentic to their brand. And like, say if she had done like a cooking video and that had gone viral, maybe that had gotten like 2 million views on TikTok, it would have been really tough to go from there because that's not really what she's passionate about. Maybe she is, I don't know. But it would have been really hard to go from there. So it's making sure that whatever you're putting out, whether it's the song, the TikTok, whatever you do for the whole campaign, is that it really is authentic to you and your brand, because you never know what could go viral. You never know what could be the next jumping off point. And so staying true to yourself is like the easiest way to do that, because if you're really into tarot cards and then you're like famous for like skateboarding, you're like, well, where do I go from here? Yeah. It's like, what are we doing?
So you're saying that, you know, I know we had the conversation just earlier talking about, you know, it's very hard to cut through the noise, right? With so many opportunities out here, so many platforms that people are using. And as artists are trying to move forward in their career, normally back in the day, they would have to have a label and all of that. Do you still believe having a big label is important to success, given we're in this digital age, but also everybody can kind of get in?
I would say, like, if you're an artist who'd recently gone viral, your song like went viral, and now you're getting like these offers to meet with these major labels, and you're kind of debating like, should I stay independent? Should I sign with a major label? What's kind of like the plan for me? I think you first have to think about what your goals are. If you're gonna go meet with like these major labels, whoever it is, like Republic, Interscope, like Atlantic, so on, you should go into the meeting prepared, being like, this is what I need out of the meeting. I need more studio time. I need booking help. I need marketing help. And you have to think, like, what can those labels provide for you? Some artists, it makes sense to stay independent. It makes sense to do your own thing and keep growing and then maybe sign later, maybe not sign at all. But you have to understand what you need and what you can provide, because at the end of the day, whether you stay independent and you work with other people or you work with sign with a major label, it's a team goal of getting you to whatever you think your success is. If you want to have like 100 million streams a month, if you want to book like a national tour, you go into these meetings or whatever when you come to that fork in the road, you figure out like what you need, and then that makes those meetings so much easier. Because if you come to a meeting with Republic, for example, and you're like, great, I'd love to sign, like I have like these 30 questions, these 30 things I need to go done. People are like, well, we don't really know where to start. It's a difficult start if you don't totally know who you are or know what you need.
Sophia, I want to ask you from a digital perspective as well. Do you think that it's necessary, because you work on both sides, individual, and you finding people individually, as well as people with labels?
I think that you're spot on in that sort of knowing your plan and where you are. The major label ecosystem certainly has structure available that has for like global distribution and global partnerships and relationships with every film studio and every television studio and everything. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready for that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that's what you need at that point where you are. There's certainly, at least on the sync side, there's certainly artists who have partnered with managers and with pitching companies, and they have created their own ecosystem where they work independently, or they've decided to only do a publishing deal and not a label deal. There's lots of ways to do it. I don't think there's a reason ultimately to jump the gun. I think it's better to like be where you are, do the best work you can do, and then like move accordingly. You know, radio, our audio everywhere company, I think philosophically, our approach to working with our artists really is unique in that we are really trying to work with artists that we feel can work in the sync space, that maybe have a personality to host a show. Like, we kind of think about the people that we partner with in ways that I think are a bit, it's not just about like, okay, I mean, yes, we want to have like an Ariana Grande and a #1 record and a global superstar, obviously, but we want someone who can like kind of build within our ecosystem of Hooray Media. So we have Josh Levi, who had a great placement in Rap Shit, and then we put him on tour, and like it's all very kind of within our family, and our family is it's nimble in a different way than like a larger label.
So we talk about goals. Everyone's mentioned everyone should know what their goals are. And I'm curious to know, what are some of the goals that you hear from people that you're working with or that you may be working with? So I feel like one goal is, I want to be a superstar, got it. But what are is it like, oh, I want my music to be on TV, or oh, I want to be on tour? Like, what are some of those goals that people are looking at? Because I kind of find you always get that one goal where it's like, I just want to be a superstar. But I think it's kind of important to talk about the different levels or the different opportunities that can come when you're hearing from other people who really have done the research to know what it's like to be in this space. So I'll start with you.
Looking at you.
The gambit. You hear it all from, I want to be a superstar and I want to sign to a label. And one thing I just wanted to hit on about labels. Labels play a different role than they used to before. If you think about Motown, they did your hair. Smokey Robinson wrote the songs. The Temptations sang the songs. The Temptations didn't write the songs. Labels now are banks. And most of the acts that they sign fail. So if they sign 100 acts, 3 will actually be stars and work, and they have to offset the other 97. And so when they find an act that found product market fit, my viral song found an audience. I have the right brand, the story, my character resonates. All they do is pour money into it to blow that up with the relationships that you referenced. So if someone says, I want to be super famous, and that's what they value, you don't laugh at them. You go, okay, well, maybe a label is the right way for you to go. But understand, you may not be a priority. If someone says, I want to own my music, maybe some labels do that now. You can go through indie distributors. You can raise money yourself. It really depends on the artist. The good thing about what's happening now is there's so many, it's fragmented as far as like artist services. There's marketing companies that are legit, a lot of them are not, that can actually help you get your music out there. There's publishing administrative deals you can do. There's sync deals you can do. So it really depends. But if you're trying to be famous, I would say then probably a label is the way to go because you're going to need a lot of money to do that. Not that you won't as an independent artist, but you're definitely going to need it that way. But if an artist says, hey, I want to own my masters because maybe my song blows up, like Running Up That Hill because of a sync. She was already famous, but that's very different as well. So I think the good news is that you can ask that question these days. Whereas before, the only way to really get your music out at scale was through a label. But now there's 60,000 songs uploaded weekly by independent artists. So to break through, you've got to have the story, the image, and everything else, some luck as well, and you're going to need some help. And if you find yourself without that help, and you don't think you can hire that help, find people who are passionate and can do it for free or as a part of the business, then you may want to sign. But what I want you to take away is just that there's a lot of options, and it's okay to not want to be super famous, and it's okay to want to be super famous.
Nico, come back to you. Anything to add from a goals perspective?
Yeah, I would say just really to be a successful artist, I feel like, and going into those spaces where you're trying to debate if you're going to go into like being signed with a label or stay independent or whatever you want to end up doing, you really need to just take a minute and think about what you really want, which is kind of what we've all said here a bunch, and know who you are. Because if you don't know that, then it's really hard to find a place to start. Because labels can build you into whatever you want and make you do cooking videos or do whatever they think like the passion is and the trend at that time. But you really have to know who you are because that resonates so much more. I think an example is Flo Milli. I love Flo Milli. With her recent album, and of course she's been famous now for a minute too, but it was all about like early 2000s, like reality TV shows. She did some great skits about like Flavor of Love. She did some great ones about America's Next Top Model. And that really syncs with her music because it's all about these pop culture references being super funny, super charismatic, and also having these like amazing bars. And I think that's a great place for her. And I'm sure like that vision kind of came together as a team goal with her and the label and management and everything like that. And yeah, so I would say that's it.
Perfect. Stephanie, you have anything to add?
I mean, I feel like I only can speak to the practical goal of if you want to have your music placed in film and television, have instrumentals ready to go. Have your business sorted out, meaning like have your splits negotiated with whoever is a part of the process. If there's a sample, have the sample cleared, and be contactable. Those are all like super basic but very important things that we need on the sync side. And then there is a certain amount of, if you want to write for film and television, just kind of knowing like it's okay to say like, I don't want my song to be associated with the show, or I do want my song to be associated with the show, or I don't want it to be associated with the brand. Like there are choices, and I think there's no good or bad choice. I just think you should know that like just because there's an opportunity doesn't mean that you have to take it. Oftentimes it's not that Lizzo tipping point moment. Oftentimes it's just a great look and part of a story. But if it doesn't feel like the right fit, like if they're coming to you and it's a scene with guns and violence and that's not your jam, then like pass on the opportunity.
So a lot of people, just to add, to get a little bit more onto the business side of it, because people forget about the business side of the
Yes, they
music
do.
business. I want to know, and everyone will be able to answer. What are some of the most common things? So we already know they are not responding to your DM. They don't have the contact information updated. Are there any other things from a business side that new artists are not paying attention to? I would think probably, is there a legal piece of it that they need to be paying attention to?
Oh yeah, I got one.
All right.
One of the first things we did with Moonlight when we met her, and this is personally not as part of YouTube, and that's why I'm so confident about speaking about these things, because I personally put money, my skin in the game. BeatStars.com, we're using beats per sync opportunities, and you were just talking about those. When you license a beat online, the agreement that you sign, even if you think it's exclusive, might actually, one, not really be exclusive. Number two, when you agree to that, there's two types of publishing rights that are associated. There's the writer share, and then there's a publisher share. A lot of times, the publishers may take 100% of their share, and another 50% of the writer share. So you made a hit song, and all of a sudden you realize you own very little of it because of the original beat, or the agreement that you signed. The best thing to do if you like a beat, if you meet a producer online, is contact them directly before you buy anything, and say, I have this really amazing song that I've written to your beat or your music. I'd love to work with you on it. And hopefully they see the value in what you've created, and you can be amenable and have an amenable agreement with them. If not, maybe find a different producer that can make a sound that's similar, or that can accompany like the words that you actually written. But the writer share, the publishing stuff is so important for you because it's a non-starter. You may be able to monetize on the streaming world, but syncs are so important for monetization. It's such a huge opportunity for discovery. If you don't have that, and it's very easy to do, to be honest with you, there's just like templates for $10, even free online. But if you don't have that set up correctly, you might actually be limiting how far you can go.
Just to add to that too, I think it's really helpful if you register all your songs. So just go to the extra step of just putting it on getting it registered with ASCAP or BMI, because that's another tool that we use to find people. So make sure that it's on ASCAP or BMI.
What do they do?
ASCAP or BMI?
Yes.
So
In case people don't know.
Oh, well, for me, I put in the song title and I find it, and then it has the contact information. And if it's really set up properly, then they have the splits too. But it's their job to collect the royalties for when it airs on film and television. I imagine it also.
And on social as well.
And on yeah. See, I don't know what the totality. I only know what I do, but yeah. So.
But let's dive a little deeper into that. So we talk about, having social media, we're promoting your music, things like that, getting it registered. So we need to make sure that happens as well. But then there's also the streaming component to it, also that you're on a site. So I guess my first question for you would be, is if you're, looking at different streaming services, is it important to have all of the platforms, have your music on all of platforms, on everyone, to get it maximized, or should you be focusing your talents or focusing your energy in specific ones, without you guys being biased? But what's your thoughts on that? Just because I feel like there's a lot of, you have the SoundClouds and then all of the major ones, and just trying to make sure that people are being heard.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, put all your stuff on Vivo. It's really important. But I would say connect with everyone at these DSPs, like form those relationships early. Something that I think, of course, these young musicians are always on social media and, of course, posting videos, trying to get on trends. Use that also to connect with people digitally. Connect with someone, connect with, of course, the two of us, and connect with you as well, and connect with other people at other DSPs. And if your video's on Vivo, say hey, my premiere's today at 3 p.m. at Vivo on Twitter, and I'll retweet you. It's really important to connect these to these DSPs really early and understand what content is best for each one. Vivo, we have our CTV platforms, playlists, and so many other things, and so we can benefit you in other ways, and so can other people. Yes.
Do you guys pick up artists that don't have visuals?
Yeah, we do audio-based tracks. So it's just you have to have some kind of visual. It can just be the single cover. It can be whatever. Mm-hmm. But and then we just have your audio. So yeah.
So for the programs that you do that like spotlight different
Yes.
things, like Discovery, you
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, in order to get into those programs, do you have to have a visual, or would you be like, hey, this thing is up there and we like it, so we're going to make it a visual, or we're going to invite them in, or however it works?
I mean, the process is different for like each piece, of course, but yeah, I mean, to be on Vivo, you don't have to be like signed. You can be independent or you can be signed. It can be however it is, and we'll work with you to create a visual. Especially when we do our original content series like Control, which is our like hip hop, Afrobeats, reggaeton series, Studio, which is more like pop, alternative, country. It's truly just like an artist and a mic. And so if there's a trending song, and like you said, they only have like the single art and the audio track, and we can put that on Vivo, but we want to create a visual with them, like that's definitely really important too. And also kind of balancing like the marketing rollout as far as like, is there an official video coming? How would our original content fit into that? And how would they all work together?
I want to speak a little bit about can't even speak, longevity. And I want to know, people are starting out, indie artists are starting out, and I think there needs to be a conversation of, if you're trying to be in this game for a long time, you need to start thinking about that, as soon as you start, before everything happens, right? But I want to know, what advice do you all have for maintaining that longevity?
Don't spend it all right away.
Don't spend it all right away, okay?
Invest your
Okay.
money.
And even if you ain't got it, don't spend it. Now, I would say like make good music.
Yeah.
Make good music. It will be found. And for artists, especially who get demoralized because they didn't get 1 million followers, they didn't get 1 million hits or views week one. If today you uploaded your song and 10 people, that says 10 views, and tomorrow you saw that it was 25 views, 15 new people discover who you were. And those 15 people might be telling their friends and family about you. And one of those people might buy a t-shirt. And the next day, 4 more people might learn about you. If you're going up, whether it's 1 stream or 1 view, that means you are making a difference, an impactful difference to somebody. The key then is to say, I wonder what they liked, and how do I engage with them and find out what they liked? And then how do I scale that so it's 100, 2, 3, 4, 500 people, and then maybe more. So keep going. I think longevity really is like going to be favor those that are doing it for the right reasons, or which is right for them, and consistency. But keep making good music.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Also, I feel like these days it's so everything moves so quickly. It's like put out the next single like every other week. Where it's like if you have a single out and it's like still 2 months old, you can still make TikToks about it. You can keep putting work into it. It's probably still a good song, and it's something you cared about enough to record and go to the studio and do everything for. So keep making TikToks, keep putting in work. I mean, if your album's still a year old, like keep promoting it because I'm probably still listening. So
That is gold advice, to be honest with you. You never know. If you have a song, especially one that broke through, you can keep releasing your new music, but there should always be a plan to keep pushing the song that worked. And then people will find the other stuff, right? When they like it on Spotify, or they like it on YouTube or Vivo, people will find it. They'll go and dig deeper, and then you'll make you have more of an opportunity to have a real fan.
So I want to know about networking from an artist industry perspective. I know, hopefully you guys find them, but if you don't, what type of advice would you give to people in terms of like how they should be networking as musicians, as artists? Open up to you.
For us at radio, and I know for Issa, a big part of what we believe in, and I believe in, it's definitely shaped my career, is just like literally leave the house, go out. We're in New York, go to the clubs, go to the bars, and meet people, and meet people who love the music that you love. Go see artists that you are inspired by, and meet people, and that's how you find your tribe, and that's how you grow with your tribe, and that's how a movement is built. But you have, show love for the people who inspire you. Go out, buy the tickets, buy some drinks, make a new friend, buy them a drink. And then, the relationships that I made when I was 20, have carried me. And I think that that's just so important. And if you're a musician and you play an instrument, then and you also want to be an artist, just show up and play on other people's records and meet those, go to the studio hangs and like meet producers and meet other songwriters and meet other artists. But just being open and flexible and out and about and fun to be around is a great start.
Fun to be around, okay?
I'll plug actually something called the Digilog. I'm
Yeah.
not associated with it. You know the Digilog?
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew. Were you gonna plug?
I have no idea
I
what
was
the
going to plug
Digilog
the
is.
Digilog and then also my own thing. But you
No, you plug the Digital. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The Digilog is an amazing organization. They do a lot of they have a lot of networking events all across the country for up-and-coming artists, aspiring artists, as well as like a bunch of music industry professionals. I also co-found a networking group called Queer Capita, all for LGBTQ plus music industry professionals. And yeah, I think these events are great ways to go and meet people, go and like show who you are and make connections. I mean, if you're an artist, you're gonna want to know these people at radio, YouTube, Vivo, and also like you're probably already on your phone, so like just even take a minute to make these digital connections and grow those, and then say like, oh, you're going to that show tonight, or you're going to this Digilog event, you're going to like this, that, or whatever. Being like, oh, like I'll see you there, and we can grow this connection too. I mean, I think like what you said earlier, it's like the music industry is pretty small, and it's like so we all kind of know each other, and so making these like authentic connections and being respectful about making these connections is really important.
I was like, oh yeah, you were at the show that I was at, and we were like, oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. We were at the Leisure
Yeah.
Keys show together.
Yeah.
Great show.
I would say, digital LinkedIn for sure. I get a lot of messages in my inbox, and I try to always. I say one thing to people. I'm like, just send me the music. Send me the song that's gonna make me like send me the one link, and that's like, and no, I don't got it, or I'm not like, oh, all right. So send it when you have it. But one thing I also like is storytelling as well. I am from Harlem, and I grew up passing out flyers for merengue bands and like Que Mató Hector Lavoe, like Spanish plays and stuff. And I did all that stuff. So when I see someone doing that same kind of hustle, it resonates with me. And so if they have that and the product, like in terms of good music, and they just like they're good people, I'm like, who are you? Let me hear the music. But networking in person, it gives you that opportunity to do that. Scaling yourself through doing it online on your phone is also a big one as well. The marriage of both will definitely improve your odds.
And I'll just add too, for social media, we have it. Engage with people that you think are interesting or think can help. Just, hey, that was awesome. Great event, great, talk. You saw Stephanie on Futuro. Hey, it was so great seeing you there. Have those things, but also to piggyback on you, I'm a big advocate of LinkedIn. LinkedIn, especially from a business perspective and people who are actually in these particular spaces, have LinkedIn. And you can have like over 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. Can't do that with Instagram, can't do it with Facebook. They all cap those at lower numbers, under 10,000. So LinkedIn is huge, and I don't think people know enough about LinkedIn or utilize LinkedIn enough, and they have not really started monetizing the algorithm to jack it up, so your content gets through. Everything that everyone that we interview and things like that, from my brand perspective, I always go straight to add them on LinkedIn. So that's just my nugget. All right, my last question. We're gonna get you all out of here, and then we're gonna go to the reception downstairs. Last thing is, how important is it for artists to invest in their own careers? And I know I say this, and I know it says it, but every time I want to have that conversation, because I don't think people stress enough about it.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Investment is important, but not just monetary investment. I'm going to look at how much time you actually dedicated to something. Because if you don't have, Maxwell level talent, then it's like, I don't know. I don't know why I picked Maxwell, but because there's a viral challenge actually, and that's what about Maxwell is why he's top of mind right now. But if you don't have that, like, I'm going to look at like, are you really doing these things that would help you get to that place? But I will say that people think about investments to get an impression on social ads, for instance, Facebook. A $5 cup of coffee will get you 500 views, right? 500 impressions to get your music. So, and there's people that run ads for only $5 a day to get their music out there, or $10 a month. And while that is like a cost, it is fairly low. So I look at how much have you invested in terms of like the music itself, the work ethic, maybe monetarily as well, although that can be really tough, and I'm not at all diminishing that. But those are all kinds of investments that I look for in artists.
Cool. Anything to add?
Yeah, I would say just you are your biggest advocate when it comes to your music and your brand. So making sure you're investing in yourself, whether like you said it's like monetarily or with your time or creating like 10 TikToks a week, that's so important because that also shows how driven you are and how important this is to you.
Stephanie?
I think that you have to invest in yourself. I mean, that's what you're betting on. But I do think that discipline and good habits are just pretty, whether you're a musician or not, I think that you have to kind of, that's going to separate you at a certain point, the work ethic and the consistency. At a certain point, there's like a fork in the road, and there's the people who know, have the good habits and have the relationship skills and the talent to go, all the way. You can't really go all the way if you are kind of loosey-goosey about how you approach your craft, in my experience.
I'll give one example of something that's happening that's incredible, and you hope you hear about them. But in terms of investment, there's a young man by the name of Kells from East New York. I heard his song on the internet, maybe 1,000 views or something like that. Right now, he's probably one of the hottest artists that's being talked about inside of record labels, which astronomical type, established type number, like the deals that are being talked about for him are insane. He's staying independent. He found a videographer who wanted to make videos. He found a producer who wanted to make beats, and they became their own group. There's no money exchanged between them right now, but they're all rising together and using each other as, foundational stepping points for each other. And they're building together. And they made investments in one another. So an investment doesn't necessarily have to be in just money, obviously time consideration, like your discipline, consistency. But it also could be like finding other people that have the same vision and dream that are complementary to you and work together. I was just doing a story today we're just supporting Steve Lacy. He's an artist from Odd Future. There's like 20 kids in that group, right? Like Tyler, the Creator, Sid, the internet. They've been around forever, and they have an insane cult following, and they all found each other. Frank Ocean, like they all came from the same place. And they found each other, started this collective, and just grew together and blew up, and they all have their own dedicated fan bases. So I think like there's a lot of opportunity, and my last words is just gonna be, if someone's listening today and you got another person listening tomorrow, then it's working. Keep going.
Well, thank you all so much for giving us your expertise. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Oh, questions? Yes, please.
So,
Are you doing questions? Yes.
yeah, so I got a quick question. So it's a thing I've been messing with in my mind, and now that we have such an esteemed panel, I want y'all take on it. So 70% of the U.S. market is older music, right? New music is struggling.
Catalog music.
Right, exactly. So as what y'all do, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's almost depressing in certain ways, and in certain ways it's kind of liberating. So I just want to know what y'all thought. Thank you.
I mean, I again, from the lens of music supervision, and actually when you were asking about longevity, like in my mind, I was thinking like, if you are blessed to be here long enough, everything that's old is new again. So I think that as a fan, it's great. I think as someone who's new and making music, I don't think you should dwell on statistics that maybe bring you down. Like, if it's not, there's still 30% that whatever the good part, whatever the other side of that coin was, focus on that if that's where you're at,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, honestly. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Elton John and Dua Lipa song that went like crazy. The remix that they just did like a year ago, I would say. So many people who are Dua Lipa fans are now Elton John fans as well, and they're like, there's this, maybe I never even heard the song before. They were like, I didn't know it was a remix. It's like new to them. So I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great that now people in high school are listening to Kate Bush. I mean, I think it's all good. Whatever the new music is can easily connect with the older generations as well, and I think it's fun.
It is a true stat. Catalog music does represent a large part of consumption, but that also because younger people are finding and listening to music in very different ways. They don't necessarily have Spotify just yet. Hopefully they're using YouTube Music, YouTube Shorts.
Plug.
But so that's a big reason why, like, the demographic who uses Spotify and paying for it is going to be a little bit older as well. So discovery is changing. So I think it's actually not necessarily a bad thing. And if you do have new music, that just means like I'm just going to keep getting this in front of people until I find out like who really reacts to it. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
Any other questions? Yep. You can.
By the way, that was Led Black. He's the founder of Uptown Collective.
Yeah, there we go.
Got to. I'm Naima Sober-Matos, and I ran for New York State Assembly. I'm going to be developing my story because I'm also going to be coming out with some music because I feel like in order to reach the new generations that aren't as politically active as a politician or a person in politics, you have to not be more interesting. I need to crack myself like an egg so people know what's inside, and then they resonate with me and want to vote for me because they know that I'm really about it, I really care about them, but there's also a lot of dope stuff inside me that they connect with. So with that introduction, just know I will be reaching out once I get it all together, okay? So I have 3 quick questions. Can you repeat the name of the artist from East New York? 2, how did you find Moonlight? And 3, which platform do you search most often in terms of playlists? Thank you.
Mine's easy, Spotify.
What is it? Sorry.
I will start with YouTube tomorrow. And Vivo.
YouTube Music.
I can sit, right?
East New York artist.
Kel Sinner. Sounds like an angel, that kid. It's the most
K-E-L-L?
Kelz Sinner. Yeah.
Okay.
How did I find him in Moonlight? I look for trending audio. Like I literally am on Instagram or I'm on like YouTube Shorts, and I hear something and I'm like, that is really interesting and it's really well placed. Moonlight actually, even though she's her community spiritual, she found a real niche with Pretty Girl Magic on like hair before and afters and glow ups. That was where like the song really blew up for her, and so a lot of people started using it there. And I was like, this is a really awesome song. And I actually reached out to her thinking she was already signed, just kind of curious. She was like, I'm just a girl from Mississippi. I don't know what's happening right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more question. Yes, sir.
Alrighty. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Alrighty. My name is Kevin Abreu, El Kevin Abreu, Dominicano-Americano, Dominican-American from Newark, New Jersey. Thank you for your time.
Nice.
I am an award-winning multicultural marketing, television, and digital media millennial in the flesh. Worked with everyone from Miley Cyrus to Beyonce. Worked on Black is King, Black is King, Black is King. My question to you all folks here is, what do you do spiritually before you get onto the stage or onto the arena? I consider myself el homo de la gente, which means the man of the people. So what do you do? Because I'm very spiritual, very creyente, God is good, and very young. So what do you do before you set the scene, set the stage, activate, activación?
I need your coffee, bro.
Todo con calma. Tranquilo, Bobby, tranquilo, tranquilo.
Real quick so I can get the answer.
I need that energy.
Wow. No, I'm just like, now I need coffee too. I'm like, I need to wake up.
I just wanted to wake up the room a little bit.
No, I think that's a beautiful question, and I can tell you that I'm a mom. I run this division. I'm a music supervisor. I've been doing it for a long time. So for me, meditation, specifically guided meditations, are a big part of my day. And there's a part of what I do that is my flow that like I can't explain how I find the songs. I can't.
You just get it. You just got it.
I just have to get into flow. And in order to get into flow, I do some guided meditations. I do the things, and all of this helps with burnout and focus.
Agreed.
And then I just put on a playlist and I vibe, So finding time to do that is always the hardest thing, but even like a 10-minute guided meditation can really like help me just be like, breathe. So that's my.
I'm from Minnesota, actually. I don't know if anyone knows it. But so I'm always big on nature. So I typically, like, even if it's only like 15 minutes. I'll like start my day and I'll walk around the neighborhood. I'll walk around Brooklyn. If you're in Brooklyn, you're probably gonna see me walking like all around the borough. And I'll walk for like maybe like 15, 30 minutes, and I'll like turn off all my Slacks, like texts, everything, emails, just to like start the day and just like recenter myself and think about what I have to accomplish that day. I think whoever you are, like you can always see like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do, whether it's the 9 to 5 and then stuff after, whatever happens to be. But just taking a minute to like, kind of like meditation too.
Yeah.
Just taking a minute and just being like, it's all gonna be good, and like kind of like dividing all that stuff up into like maybe 3 categories or something. That's what I do.
Yeah. I need to talk to you before I do these things. Like, hype me up.
I do coaching. I
There
just
you
started
go.
my own business, El Kevin Gabriel LLC. You can find me on YouTube.
real.
And I just started my TikTok because I was frustrated with media, to be super transparent. And I went viral in 3 days. Check
Nice.
it out.
Congrats.
I can imagine.
All three videos went viral in 1 week.
Facts. Mine, before doing these events, I actually I use nervous energy, and I have imposter syndrome for everything. A lot of stuff that I do. I'm a Dominican kid from Moca in Cibao, and yeah. Yeah. So when I'm in these places, I kind of say like, well, fuck it, like, you know, I'm not supposed to be here. Like in terms of like the odds were not in my family's favor for me to be at Google and all this other stuff, right? So when I do these things, it's like, fuck it. Like it's like I'm here, so I might as well just be authentically myself, and then own it as best as I can, even though I'm actually super nervous if it doesn't come off that way. But I'm super appreciative of these opportunities. It's great to be here. It's great to see all these people from different backgrounds, like putting something like this on. And I feel welcomed and at home. And so I started out really nervous, and then I got more comfortable. And I just want to thank all of you and then my fellow panelists. So, yeah. Yeah.
I'll add in my little one. So I see 1111 and 111 all the time. Every time that I see it, it's like my mom would say, "Thank you, God," or I pray, or "God, please let me go." But I see it all the time. So throughout the day, whenever I see it, I guess, you know, the 2 times you see through the days. But I will go through and I will pray. So that's me. But thank you for that question. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this panel. It was amazing. Thank you to our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause, please.